from, is it Live Science? I think it's Live Science. The sun just spat out the strongest solar flares of 2025, and more could be headed toward Earth. The sun has released several powerful M and X class solar flares over the past few days, resulting in radio blackouts around the world. They say on Tuesday, a sunspot on the sun's surface named AR4086 exploded, releasing an X 1.2 class solar flare, part of the most powerful category of flare. Then during the early hours of Wednesday, another sunspot named AR4087 spat out an M5.3 flare, followed by an even more powerful X2.7 flare, and yet another M7.7 a few hours later. The radiation of these solar flares triggered radio blackouts on the sun-facing side of the planet at the time of the flares, affecting North and South America, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. So a lot of people are freaking out over this story. They're saying it's going to be one of the biggest we've seen in a long time. And there's also a lot of concern about the power outages that we've seen in Europe, in Puerto Rico. I don't know if, you guys have talked to anybody about this related to UAP phenomenon or anything related to this, but this stuff seems to be pretty hot right now relating to, there's a conspiracy theory called the Adam and Eve story. Are you familiar with this one?
No.
Yeah.
You're familiar with it. Every 6,500 years, there's a polar shift, the planet tilts or something. And then the magnetosphere weakens, and then we get blasted by solar radiation, destroying technology, and then a flood happens. Yeah.
Yeah, there's various theories of cyclic cataclysm. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, another theory is that there's a body that enters our solar system. Maybe it's on an elliptical path around the sun. It flies out further to the solar. Something like that. It could be a large asteroid. And when it comes into the neighborhood of the planets in our solar system, it wreaks havoc, the gravitational pull and so forth. But I think it's clear that cyclic cataclysm is a reality.
Do you think, you heard about the power outages across Europe? Or it was Spain, France, and Portugal?
I didn't hear about that.
All their power got knocked out.
When did this happen?
Was it a week ago?
Last week, yeah.
Last week?
It was from a solar flare?
No, I don't know. They said it was... what was it? Atmospheric oscillation triggering mechanical failure or something. They said a rare atmospherical phenomenon triggered some failsafe, which knocked the power out from southern France across Spain and Portugal. And I was talking to Ben Davidson. He's the space weather guy. Are you familiar with him by chance?
No.
Space weather guy. He said, similarly, we saw Puerto Rico had all their power knocked out the week prior. So what he surmises is that the magnetosphere has weakened because we are in the midst of a polar shift, and that it's not solar flares, it's just normal solar activity is penetrating the planet.
I see, yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
This whole idea of a pole shift, I find it to be compelling. I do. I do believe we are in a period of time called a Suntelia, and this is a 1,000-year period of time, and this goes back to the ancient Greeks, all the way back to the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Mesopotamians, in which cataclysm will befall within these 1,000 years. And this is based on the zodiac. This is what the zodiac tracks. The ancients knew this. It tracks cataclysm, like civilization-ending cataclysm. And I think it's happened many times before in the Earth's past. And we are scheduled, we're within that period of time. And whether it's a pole shift or whether it's like I said, an object coming into the solar system, I do believe something is going to happen before long, and before long could mean in the next few hundred years or 500 years.
What about the 2033 asteroid?
Apophis?
Is that its name?
Is it really?
Yeah.
I think that's
serious.
Apophis.
They're calling it Apophis?
I think it's called Apophis.
Oh my God.
If that's the one you're referring
came
to.
up with that?
Yeah, that's supposedly, and maybe they've readjusted the calculation. Isn't it supposed to pass closer to the Earth, like between the moon and the Earth?
It says the next approach close to Earth will be 2028, which is not a concern, but there is an estimated 2.3% chance of impact in 2032.
2036, April 13th.
Wow.
So Apophis would pass through a gravitational keyhole estimated to be 800 meters in diameter. This is Wikipedia, which would have set up a future impact exactly 7 years later on Easter Sunday, April 13th, 2036.
It's going to come within 20,000 miles of the Earth's surface.
Yeah.
That's actually extremely
Very, very
close.
close.
Very, very, very close.
Whoa.
So
23%
3% chance it comes in contact? That's disturbing.
3%, I think they said, right? What is it?
Yeah.
2 to 3.
2 to
I think
3%.
they said it was going to hit Africa, so we don't have anything to worry about.
So it's 450 meters.
Real quick,
14
just so you guys understand, the moon is 238,900 miles away.
Yeah, so it's passing much closer to the Earth than the moon.
90%.
And, it makes you wonder, is this the reason why so many billionaires have been building bunkers?
That's what I've been talking about.
Yeah, and it's true. It's happening. A lot of people are building bunkers. A lot of billionaires and multimillionaires have been building bunkers, and they've been doing it for the last decade. And what do they know that the rest of us don't?
It could just be that when you got buckets of money, you just do things.
I don't think so. Not in this
It's
case.
not related to just nuclear threat?
No, I think it's some sort of impending cataclysm that somebody knows about. Let's call them the elites, the globalist elite, understand that there's a cataclysm coming. Maybe that is why their behavior seems to be so reckless too, because they know that cataclysm is coming.
Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the proposed future map of North America after the pole shift? Have you ever seen that map?
I don't know if I've seen that. No.
I'm not giving any. I don't want to give any legitimacy to it, but it's an interesting idea. The idea is that if the planet shifts, because the cataclysmic theory is the poles shift. We know they do. However, mainstream scientists say once every 800,000 years, so we ain't got nothing to worry about. However, the cataclysm theorists say it's 6,500, and we're actually in the midst of it. We've got this story from a Smithsonian real quick. Earth's magnetic pole is shifting towards Siberia, so people are naturally saying this. If the argument from the cataclysmic theorists is that the planet will tilt, North America will become the southern hemisphere, Florida will be, I think, cold, and Canada will be like Mexico. Antarctica will be on the equator. Mm-hmm. This movement causes all of the water to basically slosh very quickly around, creating great floods. And there's a proposed future map of North America based on this, where you basically have North America, the United States, becomes split in two different major bodies of water. So there's 3 chunks. Water runs through it. California's flooded. Florida's gone. Well, no, Florida's not gone, but flooded. And I was thinking about this, and I got a question for you. If there were to be a cataclysm, what's the most important technology we should be mass producing right now to recover civilization after a cataclysm?
Spaceships, or underground cities.
Well, did you hear about Catherine Austin Fitts on Tucker Carlson?
Yes.
And she said they spent
Underground
21.
bases.
They're called DUMBs.
Yeah, deep
underground military bases.
Military bases.
But I understand about bases, right? That's where the people go. Technology-wise, what should we be building to reestablish civilization after the cataclysm and we emerge from the bunkers?
I think that we need to race to, this is going to sound really sci-fi, but I think the fact that we have discovered the Higgs boson particle, actually, I think it was discovered, 12 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
That's the particle, that's the field that gives mass to matter, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we need to really juice the advanced theory in order to create things like gravity warp bubbles and things like that, right?
Right, but if civilization collapses, none of that matters, right? So what technology do you guys think we would have to mass produce right now so that if civilization collapsed, we emerge from our bunkers a year later, what do we need first and foremost?
Well, I imagine
that's a really good question.
Actually, a really easy answer.
Well, I'm thinking something like hydroponics, so that way you can make sure that you can grow food.
What do you need to grow food?
You need water.
And how do you get water?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can get it out of the atmosphere. You can get it out of...
Okay. How would you, as a human being, pull water from the atmosphere?
Personally...
There's actually one thing all civilizations need first and foremost, and it's energy.
Well, yeah. Okay.
So what kind of energy source would we need to mass produce right now if we're preparing for a cataclysm?
I think solar would be good.
Solar
and wind. Yeah, we would need to convince everybody to start mass producing solar and wind, because without transmission lines and without transportation lines, petroleum ain't going to save you.
Yeah.
So the first thing we need to do is, how do we convince the entire Western populations?
I see where you're going with this.
To just start producing wind and solar.
Right.
Because we're going to build these underground cities, and then after the cataclysm, power lines are gone. Petroleum, we're not going to know where it is. We're going to have no means, perhaps satellite. But once we locate it, we don't got the trucks. We don't got the roads.
Yep.
The first thing we'll need is electricity. We put up some wind turbines, and we've instantly got a continual source of energy, or solar panels.
Yep.
Right. Now, how do we convince people to start shifting the economy towards a direction?
The climate change narrative.
So this is where it gets really funny. The climate change narrative has never come true. They keep saying it every 10 years. The predictions don't happen. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, how do you convince a market economy to start building something unprofitable?
Mm-hmm.
You don't, unless the end is
you
nigh.
scare them, yeah.
But if you told people that there actually was a pole shift coming and we were going to face a cataclysm,
They'd freak out. Yeah.
They'd stop working.
Exactly.
Truck drivers would stop driving trucks.
No, that's a very good. It's a very good theory.
So, theory, but it was an idea. I was thinking, like, when I was reading all this stuff, I'm just thinking, not that I think it's going to happen. I don't know. But I was just thinking about these pole shift. I was watching that Tucker Carlson episode with Catherine Austin Fitts saying they spent $21 trillion on deep underground cities. I think that's an exaggeration. They're deep underground military bases. These exist. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk has confirmed the existence of them, the limestone caverns. They exist. And then I was thinking, like, if I was going to build a bunker, what's the first thing I would need when I got out? I'm like, well, nothing else matters unless you have electricity. You need energy sources. So we'd probably want to have a lot of cables, a lot of, the electronic components to run machines. Electric cars would be great too, because we're not going to have a petroleum refinery. We are going to have alternative sources of energy. We can charge a car off of the grid of a small series of wind turbines or solar. And they've done it. They've convinced everybody through legislation and cultural action to start building exactly what we would need in the event of a cataclysm.
So do you think that the people who, let's say that in this thought experiment, the people who know it's coming, do you think that they really care about the populations of Earth, or just protecting themselves, their families?
They care about the population of Earth, but come on, like Noah's Ark, he couldn't save everybody.
So you think that they would actually be bringing people down into these deep underground military bases
yes,
at some point? See,
absolutely.
I don't. I think they care about the preservation of certain people on planet Earth, but the vast majority of people, I don't think they really.
Well, but that was not the question. The question was, would they bring people down? Of course they will.
Yeah.
There's going to be a select group of people that they deem necessary to the expansion and survival of humanity.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be Joe the plumber. Literally that guy, Joe the plumber. Remember him from 10 years ago? It's not going to be him. Mary was 10, so she doesn't remember.
There was a phrase that I heard in this context. It's just, most people are useless eaters, is what they were called.
That was Yuval Harari?
Yeah, Yuval Harari. Like, they just are people that don't do anything particularly important, right? But there are going to be people that are, and I would be among the useless eaters. I'm a guy that...
Well, I just want to say real quick, I think everyone agrees. Quick-witted and charismatic individuals who can talk very well are very important for civilization. So, maybe I'll get a phone call. Maybe.
But the
Mount Weather's real close.
The fact of the matter is, in any scenario where there's going to be a large portion of the population dying off, they're going to select for people that will be beneficial to help continue the population. The bad idea, or the negative of that, is when nepotism and wealth are the only factors. If you can buy your way in, you buy your way in for your family, and your kid's a loser, or both your kids are a loser and they're addicted to drugs.
I don't think so.
I hope not, but that would be the worst case scenario, is when too many people that have access that don't actually provide a benefit. There has to be a certain number of people in order to continue the continue.
You know what I think they would do, though? We did talk about this before. You know what I think they would do? They would publicly offer up space for everybody. And the way it would work is they'd say, public announcement, guys, you can see the weird thing happening in the sky. Don't freak out. We have prepared emergency bunkers. You will be safe. Come on down.
They'll never tell you. The population.
No. You're coming down. Trust me. You come. You get in line, and there's a big line, and they're going to be like, Mr. Alberino, right this way, and you're going to walk in, and they're going to say, "Thank you for coming. We've got a great facility for you. We've built it. You and your family are welcome. Just go through the door to my right, and pay no attention to the door to the left." And you'll go, "All right." And when you walk to the door to the right, it opens up, and you go, "Bah!" You just fall into. That way you avoid any kind of civil unrest. And then people outside are like, what happened to Tim? It's like, they let him in. Great. And then someone else comes down and they say, and who are you? It's like, I'm a rocket scientist. I can synthesize chemicals and rocket fuel. And they go to the door on the left. And he opens it up, and it's a royal palace.
What about those rocket scientists' families?
Yeah, they can go with them. Yep. Okay. Yeah, how do you avoid civil unrest if they start trying to bring people down into these bunkers when not everybody's going to go? You can't just say only some are allowed because people will go out with guns and fight their way in. You tell them everything's going to be okay. Your door is there. And when they walk through that door, it's right into a meat grinder.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the ancients were tracking this cataclysm every 6,480 years according to the zodiac. That's the purpose of the zodiac, by the way, is to track cyclic cataclysm. It's one of the primary purposes. And we are due. This is what's, as I said, this is the transition of one aeon to the next, one age to the next.
Age of Aquarius.
Into the age of Aquarius, that's right, from Pisces. We're presently in Pisces. And when we make this transition, it will be cataclysmic. And the ancients knew this. And it's very possible that there's a group of people alive today who also know this.
That song always creeped me out.
The Age of Aquarius.
Yeah. I knew it meant something bad. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.